saw it. It was at least 6 inches, if not a foot. Like, it got in there. It definitely got in there.
Welcome to the Vamos Morados podcast on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. I'm Zach.
And I'm in pain.
I put my vacation clothes on because we're packing it up for the season.
That's
a video only joke. That's a joke you'll only get if you're watching this on the YouTube. So that's a little teaser.
Gotta lure the people in. The elephant in the room is that last game we have to talk about for 2024 because Louisville City lost.
I'm gonna get out ahead of it because I know probably people are gonna be coming at me. I'm sorry that I jinxed the team by saying I felt like this was the year the streak ended.
No, I mean I think we all thought that in some regards, and we probably think that every year. I do.
I mean, I try to I feel that every year, but this year especially, I was like, I just felt like it wasn't going to be like, oh, they have a terrible year and miss the playoffs or whatever. I felt like the streak is going to end on a season when you least expect it, where it feels like it was a gimme.
Yeah, especially, we looked at it before. I think you said, only 3 or 4 of the past Shield winners have went on to win the Cup since,
I think in
2011.
the 15 seasons that the league's been around, it's only happened 4 times that the Shield winner also won the.
Yeah, so historically improbable, and that team we now support that statistic.
Yeah.
By virtue of our loss. But hey, let's dive into it and talk about it. We always knew that this was going to be a tricky one, right? Like, you kind of look down, like, it's probably easy when you first look at the matchup to look down on Rhode Island by virtue of they're a newer team. They're a lower-ish seed in the playoffs. But as we talked about at length, like sneaky dangerous, right? Not only the fact they beat us at home, but they've gotten hot and they've really started to figure things out. They're better than what they were at the start of the season.
Their seed may be a bit of a
misleading
because they started so low in the standings and then got up to 5, which means I'm sure I haven't looked at it, but if you look at first half of the season versus second half of the season split, I'm sure they're way higher than 5th if you take just the last half of the season.
Yeah, I totally.
They finished really strong.
Yeah, they're they definitely found their rhythm and kind of grew into their first campaign, which first and foremost, huge shout out to Kano Smith, who's the former assistant coach at Birmingham. He's the one that took over at Rhode Island for their inaugural season, and holy shit, look at this. Yeah, they didn't have their first win until the end of second. They had one win in
and they had a ton of draws early in the season.
Yeah, no, it was a ton of draws. They have one win, but they didn't. And we were the catalyst, honestly. That's it. So our loss to them when they came here, beat us 5-2. They went on to win. They won 2, 3, 4, 5. They won 4 of their next 5 after that.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of W's that ended out and things out too. So they were a very different team towards the end.
And I think it says something about them that they won that game mid-season and then came here again and won a game basically the exact same way as they did last time. Yeah. I think, which says something about their game plan and ability to execute, that they basically played the same game against us twice.
Yeah, it's it was tough, and Louisville City did not do themselves any favors, right? So we
handed them 3 this time.
Yeah, I mean, the first one I argue there could be a lot better defending there. The second one was pretty damn egregious. We did everything but put the ball in the net for them there.
I think both of the giveaways were pretty egregious. I mean, maybe
I was trying to be soft, happen. The first one,
because there was after that first goal, there was another giveaway in midfield, and Adams made a pretty incredible sliding save at the very end.
I think Tosh made that tackle you're talking about, but I think he did make one too. There were a few big tackles. Yeah, you're right. I think there were just several.
There was a really nervy They just about went up 2-0 in the first half, if not for like a last minute
Yeah.
slide from Adams. And it's like maybe someone could have done something like that in the first one, but I think that was a pretty egregious giveaway.
Yeah, and then obviously the PK, but honestly, by that point, like I already felt like we had fully lost. Like the wind was out of the sail after that waved off goal, which we'll circle back to later because I'm sure we'll talk about that at length.
I have a question, Benton, though, because this is more your area of expertise than mine. Because you look this up for the games. We already dislike Elton Garcia, right? Am I remembering that correctly? He's done several games that make me angry, hasn't he?
I've had this conversation with several people because when I looked up who was officiating, I saw Elton Garcia. I'm like, oh great, this is like old reliable here in the USL. Like he does a lot of the matches. And then there were some people like, yeah, he's reliable, and other people that were like, he sucks. We always lose to him.
Well, it's like I don't have any specific memories, but I feel like I remember being angry at him before.
I mean, maybe you have with some calls, but the last few matches that he's done for us, I looked up, we've won all of them. He did like 2 or 3 for us this year that we won all those, and he also did our
oh yeah,
our
I don't mean hate this. Like you can make bad calls and we win the game, but yeah.
Honestly, the only one I'm pretty triggered about, and this one's really not even on him, is that waved off goal, right? Like you're gonna get some that don't go your way, so I don't get too caught up unless it's like game breaking.
There was a
call.
I feel like there were a lot of and this is probably more on the line judges. There were a lot of missed out of bounds, like ball going to the wrong team calls. Like throughout the game.
The sideline referees were not outstanding.
Yeah,
I agree with that because
and a pretty bonkers, which this is also the side refs. I think Elton probably did fine. The side refs had a terrible night because there was that offside on Harris in the first half where he not only did he not touch the ball, he didn't really have an effect on the play. He ran away from the ball where it was going. Like he got himself
out of the right away on that
one.
I remember that. That was funny. Here's another fun little thing I've noticed. Honestly, over the past 2 games, I just noticed this. I happened to be like walking down pitch side right when the referees were like leaving, and they give the kids their like red and yellow cards that come there like on the side, like hanging over there. I thought that was hilarious. I hadn't seen that before. Like good on you, referees. That's fun. I mean, they're little pieces of.
Dang, we gotta take Chuck down. I want a yellow card.
Right? The kids were like waving at everybody. It was fun.
And to circle back, because you mentioned the goal line that was called off. Okay, I'm pretty mad at the because where your seats are, you had a much better view than I did. Because
I had a very good.
I'm looking from the other side of the field, so like. I can't tell. I'm just going off the reaction of like the section back there and the players. But then I watched it on TV, and TV had basically the same view as me and never played another angle. They just played the main feed. They never showed a replay.
Yeah. So for context for those people listening, I'm in section 225, so I'm in the upper level, but a little bit closer, like towards the center, but a little bit closer to the
You're on the waterfront
end side. So I'm not as close, but my aerial angle, I had a good view of it. And I swear on everything, there was a solid, noticeable gap of grass that I saw, the line, gap, ball. The ball had clearly and fully passed the line. I saw it. It was at least 6 inches, if not a foot. Like it got in there. It definitely got in there.
Yeah, the TV angle, all you can see is that he fell on the ball on the line, but you can't, like the ball is completely obscured. So you just see where he falls, and it could have been either way because he falls like dead center of the line, and you can't see where the ball was. It's very frustrating. I went home and immediately went to the replay to check that and was pretty frustrated that they never showed a better angle.
So I'm also the pool reporter, which means I can submit questions to the officials. I only did it one other time, and so I submitted one for this, and they just responded the ball did not cross the goal line, and I just looked down like, well, I don't know what I expect. I just want something of more substance.
I think your question made it into the game recap because I saw like a quote from the main judge on it.
Yeah,
I think it was your question.
I'm the one that's allowed to like officially like submit them. It has to be like a third party, I think, or something like that. I don't know. Either way,
I
it's me.
I'm curious, like what I would have asked, like, did it get called a goal and called off, or never called? Because like
Well, and
we
I mean,
got the goal announcement in stadium, so I'm curious, like, did it get called and then waved
Lance saw
off,
the
or just
same thing
never
as
called?
us, and in Lance's defense, he got it right. He totally got it right. But as soon as I
Plus, it
saw
was Lance's
hesitation with
last
the
night. Oh
crowd,
yeah, we didn't get into that, but we
here's
gotta.
what makes me bad about it. Like, we didn't lose the game because we didn't get that goal, right? Like, obviously there was still a deficit, still a very good chance that we lose. But this is the 84th minute, right? Rewind back to 2022. We played Pittsburgh the same round. We were down 2-0 at the 80th minute. We came
Yeah,
back. We won that game.
yeah,
Goals
it definitely
change
changes the
games.
game not
If
having a
we
goal
score that
called.
goal, all of a sudden there could have been a huge momentum swing. We could have went on to do great things. We very easily could have not as well, but we'll never know because the goal was taken away, didn't stand, and that's pretty damn deflating. Then they go on to give up a PK. You know what? Like, and honestly, probably felt pretty defeated at that point, right? You could feel the desperation for a long time on that field, well before that point. So,
Laws was on the ground for a long time after that second goal.
yeah, I mean that was yeah, and I'm
I feel like the
sure
second
Toro
goal is
feels
what really. I
horrible.
mean, like, because I know the one that was disallowed was afterwards, but it felt like that second goal is what really took the wind out of the
Oh,
sails.
it really did. But like any chance of hope, any chance of that comeback, that little sliver that they maybe need, that was gone with that goal being caught off. But you're totally right. Handing them that goal, brutally killer. Like you bring in you have the reigning defending player of the year, and he's responsible at least fully for one of the goals. If not, you want to credit him for the very first one as well. I thought he maybe could have done better there. A little bit of rest. Everybody has their off days. Not criticizing it, just like really, it's just unfortunate timing for that to happen, and not something you expect to happen to. That's the tough thing with playoffs, right? And one bad game and you're out. The body of work shows that this Louisville City team is the best team in the league. They weren't the best team on the night, and that's what matters in this context. So, we're gonna have to be satisfied with our player shield and
I mean,
go on
like
see who wins on the
17 and
USL Cup.
2 at home is as good as you can ask for. It just sucks that one of the two
Yeah,
was second round of the playoffs.
and I'd mentioned a couple times throughout the season, waiting for somebody to crack the code of Louisville City, and I thought there was a good number of reasons on why Rhode Island's like win at home was a little flukish, right? We talked about like some of these kind of freak
It was a
goals that they
weird
made
game.
big on. It was a weird game, right? I
Also,
mean,
this was a weird game. It seems like they draw a weird game out of
yeah,
Louisville
and I
City. Like,
think having seen that
and
a second time, it's like, you know what? I think it's less of a fluke. They figured it out. We had an off night / they figured out something enough, and the combination of them was enough to get them over the line. And you also have to think they probably came in here with the sense of A, confidence for having already won here, but B, they're a first year club. Expectations are just pretty low in general for a first year club, justifiably so. So if I'm a player on that team, I'm coming out there like, why not us? Why can't we go out there and win? There's a freedom with that, and that I think that kind of frees these guys up
yeah,
to
what
be more
I
confident they otherwise should be.
what I really noticed in this team, especially in this game, especially because we were chasing, is their wings defensively. And I think I remember this from the last matchup too. But that's the best one-on-one defending from wings that I think any team has given Louisville City all year. Like, I think typically our wings are pretty. I think we are used to dominating those matchups one on one and getting like good crosses and passes in. And this was one of the only teams we've played that like the defenders were up to those one on
Yeah.
one. Like they didn't get outrun. Like we didn't get around them like we normally do. It was like a very very good Quazara and Nadars
Yeah.
for Rhode Island. Just like uh, we have not seen teams able to defend those
They
matchups
brought
as
their A
well
game,
as
and
they did, and that really like it takes away the main advantage we have at our
yeah,
stadium when we're not able to get that space on the wing.
and to add to it, like the team, I think overall, I wasn't trying just to pick on Toro. Like everybody had some level of element of being off. There were several moments where it's very clear that everybody was not on the same page there. There was a time where Loss was very much out of his box and Davila went to go get the ball, like pretty much like right from Loss. It was weird, like non-communication. Arturo and Tosh had a moment like that busted set piece play that they tried to do.
I'm just gonna jump in here. I think Loss being way out of his box and not communicating with the defenders is not that unusual to see this year.
But no, I'm saying that like several moments like that happened throughout the match involving different people. Like so, it's not like an isolated thing. Like I think for whatever reason there was some sense of being rattled or not fully on the same page or same wavelength, and maybe part of that is they went down early. They went down like 8 minutes in because I think all these moments happened after that point,
Yeah.
and they're chasing the game a little bit, that desperation.
Well,
So
and then another thing tactically I noticed is because they were able to keep those wing matchups one-on-one and still like still defend them. That left like basically anytime a ball got into Harris, it was 3-on-1. He had like 3 players directly in front of him. So
yeah,
like being able
quiet.
to defend the wings with a single player allows them to like really crowd the center of the field. And so like you can't go up the middle, you can't go down the sides. It's just like Louisville could not find a space in the final third.
Yeah, and I mean they did switch to the formation up a little bit, having Goodrum and Harris up at the top. I was going to look at the stats, but it didn't really like. We only had 2 more total shots in the second half compared to the first half. So in terms
Yeah,
of at least registering shots, it didn't move
we
the
were
needle as much
talking
as
during the
otherwise would have
game
liked.
about like what we thought because we figured we were going to make a halftime sub because something needed to change. The Morris for Dia sub is the one I was expecting because that kind of
That makes sense. I knew that was going to happen eventually. I didn't know when,
because
but I
it
figured that would
seemed
happen with
like
much.
they put so many players in the middle that we were going to have to make something happen from the wing, and he's one of the best crossers and attackers we have. So that made sense to me. I feel like the good room for Perez did not make as much sense to me, and that felt like a little more just like changing things to change them. And I don't know, maybe Press was gassed or something, but
It's like 28 or 29. So you got to think they knew they needed to do something differently. So
yeah, I didn't
the
like
first,
that of the 2 subs. I didn't like that one as much.
yeah, I mean, who am I to criticize, right? Like the first half obviously didn't work. You got to try something, and there's probably maybe some more like thought out logic behind that as well. And
Yeah,
maybe part of that
because
is
it just felt
Harris.
like
They're just all over Harris.
it just felt like we had we just had no wing up there because
Yeah.
he was playing in the middle with Harris, and it yeah. I I didn't love the change.
Now, we were talking about this before. I hadn't got to see the XG stats for this one. They actually out accumulated us. Granted, they did have a PK, so that is going to inflate the expected goal numbers, but like
We also
still,
had a
like
PK.
yeah, oh, fair, yeah, fair. Kind of forgot. I blanked that out from my memory. I think is mostly what happened there, but yeah, 2.36 for Rhode Island, only 1.82 for
Yeah, we
Louisville
got
City.
beat. It wasn't a fluke. They
Yeah,
straight up won the game.
yeah, and Rhode Island deserves a lot of credit all around. Like they brought a bunch of fans. They're making a bunch of noise and stuff like that. They really bought in. Like it's like that's a good addition for the league right there. Like Rhode Island, it's like a market that doesn't have any other like big sports team immediately there. It's something that community can really embrace, and it seems like they already have. And this solid start, like hey, it's a little bit of a Blue City Junior sort of thing maybe brewing up there.
It's hard to be happy about anything good happening to New England though.
and I don't have any ill will with them against them. They were the better team. And we had a rough off night. They took advantage of that. Bravo to them. It's really really disappointing and sad for us. I wanted more for this team so badly. they've worked so hard this year. They've accomplished so much. I want to see him, like finish the story, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know who's gonna be gone following this. I think a lot of guys are going to be staying, for the record. Guess like that.
Yeah, it definitely feels like unless anyone gets scooped up by like a bigger team, like unlike the last couple of seasons where it sort of felt like like there's like a changing of a guard that needs to happen. That's kind of done
Yeah.
this season, and so like it's a pretty young team. I would be very surprised if it's a big off season. I think probably gonna keep the core
Yeah.
we have this season and tweak around the edges a little bit, which is
exactly
good.
that.
This feels like I see no reason not to re-roll, just to keep rolling.
So here's the
into
list
next
of
year.
names that I was able to confirm looking back on previous like announcements and re-signing. So this is not an all-inclusive list. This is just the ones that
This is just the
there's
public.
yes, there's already public knowledge on this. So in no particular order, Sean Tosh, Amadou Dia, Elijah Widener, Arturo Ordonez, Manny Perez, Philip Goodrum, Wilson Harris, Aid McFadden, Kyle Adams, Taylor Davila, and Wes Sharpie. So it's a pretty stout list right there.
Yeah.
And again, that does not anybody I did not list does not mean they are not necessarily.
Yeah, that just means those are just the ones that have already been announced.
Yeah, that's what I had seen through again the previous announcements. Yeah. By the time this comes out, the club could have already published their.
I'll have to dig up my like percent of roster returning spreadsheet, but I would expect this will be on the higher end of the past years.
It'll be high.
So just one more on the game. Like it's our last game to cover this year. Were there any bright spots for you? I have one. One thing that went well, and I think this goes into next season because it's a player. It's a player that's on that list. So
mine's a little less directly game related, but it's something I did want to call. So I'll let you go first.
I think Winder had a very good game.
Yeah,
he was one of the only players that I thought like played well the whole game, and just like the growth we've seen from him over this season, like he's like a full on like all league every game starter.
It was special.
Now, he's gotten a lot stronger. He doesn't get muscled off the ball. Like holds his own. He is all over the field, like in the attack and in defense, box to box. So I thought like the bright spot is like he had a good game when no one else really did. And I look forward to another season.
Yeah.
With him like 1 year older.
Super happy with him. I hope he gets some individual awards this off season and really gets recognized for everything. So I'm curious to see how that one panned out. My positive takeaway was, at the end of the match was a very vulnerable moment for the team. They're very distraught. Some players were taking it particularly hard. Ray was in a pretty rough state. Aid McFadden is as well. They went around to do their kind of clap into the fans thing, which is it's something I really enjoyed. And I don't get to be in the stands doing that as much because I'm like hustling down to be part of the like post game like interview stuff. But there were a decent number of fans that A, stayed, and B, they were very loud and they're cheering back, like really trying to encourage and support the team. And I thought that was super cool. Obviously, they wanted to win it more than we wanted them to win it. No matter how big a fan you are, they wanted it more. And they were feeling it. They were sad. They were upset, probably second guessing a million different things they did in the match. But for all those people to not only still be there, but like actively cheering them on, chanting, whooping and hollering, like that was really cool. That was really special. So everybody that stayed back for that, that stuff I don't think goes unnoticed. So thank you guys for that. That was cool. I in that sad moment, I did appreciate kind of seeing that outpouring of support.
Yeah.
Big fan of that.
Also, I guess we should give a send off to Lance. This was his last season, so this was the last game with Lance on the PA.
The last Lance dance, the Lance dance, the last dance with Lance McGarvey.
Because
Yeah,
I think we noted he was being pretty. He was putting extra sarcasm into a lot of the announcements. Like it's definitely like guy who's already put in his 2 weeks vibes.
man, I'm gonna miss the sass of some of his inflections. The referee. You can tell he's pissed. I love that. I love the character coming out there. He's
I think
he's an
it was
outstanding dude
that
too.
really egregious goal kick, corner kick that they got in the first half, where it was clearly like
Yeah,
it was only two Rhode Island players that could have even touched the ball.
yeah, yeah. But hey, Lance's last goal call was ruled not a goal, but Lance did get it right. So what a way to go out, right? You know, it's kind of like Corbin Bode ending his career on a red card. Like it's pretty metal. Like it's pretty cool. You gotta respect it. So yeah, shout out to Lance. We're sure gonna miss him.
I think we're probably we got to retire the turkey toss, right?
They got to have
That
some
was
weight
another
in those.
great bit of Lance sarcasm.
Oh, that was good. You know that will they're trying to do it on the like water balloon launcher things, but they're like just giant pillows, so they're not really going anywhere. They need some weight behind them.
You need a launcher that can actually fit the thing.
At least some weight or something.
It was like trying to launch it just with a string, and it's
yeah. It was fun for us to watch though because it was a bit ridiculous.
I mean, like you do want it was entertaining. You want entertainment out of the halftime thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but like we had an outstanding season. There's so much to be proud of. It does suck that it ended on a note like this, but like, hey, you know what? Like that happens. We could have easily like laid an egg like that during the regular season, right? It happened at the wrong time, the wrong moments against the wrong team.
Like, I don't know, man. This might say a lot about me just mentally, but I'm kind of glad to be done with the streak because like I felt like the streak was becoming a weight over our shoulders every offseason. And it's kind of nice to be coming in clean slate and not have the worry of the keeping the streak up.
I'm not going to say I'm happy about it, but having the weight off my our shoulders as fans, because
I think we feel it more than anyone.
Yeah, it's nice that it's like we don't have to worry about it ending because it already did.
Yeah,
I totally get where you're coming at with that.
But yeah, it just like I don't think like most of the players, other than like Niall and Tosh, none of the new players probably even know much about the streak. But like it does feel like you play a little freer without having that hanging over you.
Yep. So, do you plan on watching the rest of the USL playoffs?
I'm gonna keep up. I've been keeping up with the rest of the weekends. I saw like Charleston kind of pulled a late one out against Tampa. Yep. I think I texted you because Las Vegas won right after we lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I think we're gonna have like a Las Vegas Rhode Island final because
chaos.
That sort of feels like the year is going.
And as we record this, Colorado Springs and Orange County are duking it out. They're in extra time, and Colorado Springs just pulled ahead, so they might be moving on in part of the Western Conference. So, God, anybody but the Battery. You know what? I want Rhode Island to win so we can hang our hat on that. We lost to the guys who won it all. That's the only one that can stop us.
I would enjoy Las Vegas winning one. I think that would be funny.
It still doesn't strike me as a franchise with a lot of permanence in the league, and I think Rhode Island has better hope of that. So I want that. I don't want a team winning it who in 2 years could disband because I don't know, they never really had much going there. I don't know. We'll see. It's out of my control.
They're gonna keep it going as long as they got helicopter money.
They got that Jose Batista money. All right. Yeah. Well, that's all I got about on that match. Bad night is what it is.
Speaking of other soccer games from this weekend, did you see an all-time GIF created in the Atlanta Miami game over the weekend?
No, I hadn't watched anything related to the MLS playoffs.
Okay, Brad Guzan got shoved in the back into the net and fell and got stuck in the net, and it's incredible.
That's amazing. We'll have to look that one up.
You got it, yeah. Also, kind of insane that it wasn't a red card because somebody just he had his back turned after a goal was scored, and one of the Miami players ran in and sort of shouldered him out of the way to grab the ball out of the back of the net.
The MLS has been protecting Miami. That's why it wasn't a red card.
While he was kind of jawing at the guy who bumped into him to grab the ball, someone else in Miami just shoved him in the back into the net. No call. Not even no foul, no yellow card, no red card. Kind of insane.
Well,
but it did produce one of the greatest animated GIFs in history.
That's funny. Messi can watch the rest of the playoffs from home.
Yeah.
Wiping away his tears with wads of money. All right. Any additional thoughts before we wrap this up?
Well, we can't leave the people. I'm done with soccer thoughts because I would like to not think about that game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and we
until next year, where hopefully we crush Rhode Island in the next meeting.
Right. But we did talk about that. We are going to be recording 2 more episodes. One covering a kind of a season recap for each of the teams. So we'll talk about things a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, we'll do our
take a look at the big picture kind of numbers, see how they stack up.
Give out some superlatives.
Yeah, bigger, higher conversations. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, our year or season, it's wrapping up.
Do you you have any recommendations to leave the people on closing out the season? What
I've had such a rough week.
Yeah.
For a multitude of reasons. You also have to think about, I had to watch my Bengals be peak Bengals on Thursday Night Football as well. So even just in the sports domain, it hasn't been wonderful. Joe Burrow can only do so much. No, I don't have any recommendations for the people.
At least the Jets keep losing, and it's very funny. So there's that. We can take joy in that.
Oh my God, I hate Aaron Rodgers so much.
It's so
wonderful to watch.
I haven't watched NFL football in years, and it's drawn me back in just to watch Aaron Rodgers get pummeled every week.
It's the highest form of art.
Also, just hearing about whatever weird, useless home remedy he's trying to use for whatever injury week to week. I think he was chugging cayenne pepper powder 2 weeks ago. I think that was the one.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to help much. So my recommendation this week, because I have also been trying to numb the pain. So I've been going to my comfort video game, which is Balatro on my Switch. I think we've talked about Balatro, haven't we? It's a
refresh my memory.
It's like a card deck building
you
card
told me about
game.
That. I can't remember if it was on or off air, but you've talked to me about that one.
Yeah, Balatro is very good. It's a good just zone out game. I've been putting on bicycle repair YouTube videos and just sort of zoning out with Balatro. Maybe throw in some skateboard stuff. But yeah, that's I've also been doing a lot of skateboarding. So those are my recommendations. Do something physically active and then zone out on the couch with Balatro.
Yeah. Just take care of yourself, people. But we'll be back in your feed soon, and we'll talk more expansively about both Racing Louisville and Louisville City. Split them into 2 different episodes. So get a little bit more content.
Since we're at the end of the season, thanks to everybody who listens for listening. Every so often I'll have someone come up to me at the game because I have my jacket that I stitched the back of, so I guess that's kind of identifiable. And it makes my day anytime anybody says hello or mentions that they listen. So thank you guys for sticking with us.
Yeah, absolutely. it is pretty cool when somebody says that they listen to the podcast. Like, oh, we're interesting enough where we're in their
My
podcast queue, huh?
gut, anytime anybody says that, is to be like, oh, I'm sorry. That's
Reflex.
like I have to stop my mouth from saying I'm sorry whenever anybody mentions they listen to the podcast.
It is a cool feeling. So yeah, we really do appreciate everybody who tunes in and cares about what we have to say. You know, maybe you're yelling at your car radio or your phone or wherever you're playing it from as we're talking, but hey, gives you something to engage with. And also, as always, thanks as always to the state of Louisville guys for helping us get this out here, helping us be heard.
Yeah,
so we really appreciate it. Anyway, we'll let you move on to the next podcast in your queue. We'll be back soon. Take care. Vamos Morados.
Bye, y'all.